Hey guys and gals, today is Meatball Day on a daily dash of life. Come with me and I'll show you how I make them. I have some prep work to do, but before I get that started, I'm going to walk you through the ingredients I'll be using today. Here I have a little over 1 pound of sweet Italian sausage, and here I have exactly 2 pounds of ground beef. This is 85-15% lean to fat. Here I have 56 ounces of tomato sauce, and I just got the whole peeled tomatoes and then put them in the blender to get that. I have some basil. This is to taste. Use as much or as little as you like. I also have some minced garlic, fresh garlic, not the kind from the jar. Some Worcestershire sauce. I'm using 3 eggs today, and I'm using 3 eggs because I like to use 1 egg per pound of meat that I use. Here I'm going to have some whole garlic cloves, and the reason is because I'm going to be using my garlic press later for those pieces of garlic. 1 cup of your choice of breadcrumbs, 1 cup of freshly shredded Parmesan cheese. Here I have 2 containers of ricotta because for one thing that I'll be doing for the whipped ricotta, I'm going to need 2 cups, but for the meatballs, I'll need 1 cup of ricotta. I'll need 2 tablespoons of olive oil for the whipped ricotta, and then I'll need 3 tablespoons of olive oil for the marinara sauce, and then salt and pepper to taste. I will also be using a scale today because I weigh out my meatballs to 3 ounces per meatball. In a cold pot, I'm going to add some olive oil. Then I'm going to add my freshly minced garlic, as well as some freshly chopped basil. And then I'm just going to let that begin to heat on a low to low medium heat until it becomes fragrant and aromatic. Time to add in my sauce. In goes a few tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Time to season with some salt to taste and pepper to taste. Give it a good mix. You will be adding a little bit of this sauce to your meatball mix. Now, if you already have some made, wonderful. That just saves you some time. If you have some prepped in the freezer, get it out a day before, defrost it, and then use it for your sauce now. But I didn't have any left, so I had to make a new batch, which is fine. But it is a time saver if you already have some. While the sauce is over there doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 cups of whole ricotta to a blender. You could add it to a food processor. Get it all in there. And this is optional. This is just to top your meatballs when you're doing sliders or the Subway sandwich. Two tablespoons of olive oil. This is going to give it that creamy whipped softness. Salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to put mine on a puree setting. we go. Soft and dazzling. And that's it. That's all there is to whipping some ricotta. Sometimes I'll add some onions and garlic. I'll saute the onion and garlic and then add it to the ricotta before I whip it. Whip it good, and it is delish. Now I'm going to set that aside for later so that when my hoagies are done and everything's done, then I could just add that to the top. I need to get half a cup of this sauce and add it to a mixing bowl and set that aside. This will cool down while I work with my meat. Time to start cracking your eggs into a big bowl. I'm going to lower the heat on my sauce for now. Oh, that smells so good. With your strong hand, go ahead and break up the eggs a bit. Now you can start adding your meat and just break it up. You don't want to overwork it, but you do want to break it up and then work the eggs into the meat. I'm going to add some salt at this time. I'm focusing on two things: breaking up the meat and mixing the Italian sausage and the ground beef together. And I'm also giving the eggs a chance to absorb into the meat. All right, now I'm going to set that aside, spread it out a little bit. In my bowl with the sauce, I'm going to add half of a cup of ricotta, salt to taste, pepper to taste, time to press the garlic into this. And all the ingredients will be in the description box below, in case you're wondering. Time for the breadcrumbs, a cup of breadcrumbs, a cup of the Parmesan. Give it a good stir. All right, bring my meat back and add this to the meat. Don't forget to check on your sauce. Taste test it periodically. Make sure it's not burning at the bottom. This is where your meatballs are going to go later. So you want to make sure the taste is on point before you put your meatballs in them. The way that I weigh out the meatballs is I lightly cover the kitchen scale with some saran wrap or plastic wrap. And then I zero it out. I try to lightly do it because I don't want the weight of the plastic wrap. Like if I cover it and hug it too much, I don't want it to affect the weight. I have it at 0 right now. Let's see. For my ball, that's 2.1, 2.8, 3.1, 3. Ah! Alrighty, just roll that out into a big ball. Voila. And then I put it in my thing. After a while, you start to get used to the fill, and then it doesn't take as long. You end up being right on the money. This is the size I like to use for the balls when I'm making my sliders or my sub sandwiches. But you can definitely make them smaller if you're doing spaghetti and meatballs. Or you can leave them big. Totally up to you. And just continue to make them till you're completely done using up all of your meat. The next step in this process is to get enough oil in your pan to brown the meatballs. And then you want to set the heat high enough so that the meatballs can fry and brown. Before you start browning your meatballs, add 1/4 cup of water to your sauce so that this will help cook your meatballs through and through without burning the sauce. Don't forget to taste test and mix your sauce. Make sure there's nothing burning on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm just going to brown my meatballs. A few minutes on each side, and then I'm going to flip them before putting them in my sauce. Okay, now just gently flip them. Woo-hoo! Yum, 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 yum. That's pretty. That is so pretty. Make sure they have space so they can cook evenly. I don't want anything touching. When your meatballs have browned on both sides, begin to add them to the sauce. Then just continue to brown in batches and then put it in the sauce. Oh man, they smell so good. Mm-mm-mm. I have found that these little tiny wooden spoons are perfect for flipping these meatballs. I love it. Alrighty, my last batch is done. I don't know if you could tell, but they didn't fall apart. So that's good. They shrink a little as you cook them too. So earlier, all those meatballs didn't fit, and then little by little they started to fit. So now I'm going to let the meatballs cook in the sauce for 20 minutes at least. They're going to cook all the way through and they're going to get tender. Get the older ones out of the sauce and put the newer ones in the sauce. And I do have the sauce on a low heat right now. I'm going to keep it on a low heat and I'm going to add a lid because I don't want the sauce to burn. But I do want everything to cook through and through. And then every few minutes, I'd say 10 minutes, I'm going to flip the meatballs around, and the ones that are on top, I'm going to keep adding sauce to them. I want everything coated with the sauce. Time for the lid. And then start your 20 minutes. Papa Bear and I are going to have some sub sandwiches, some meatball subs. But for the littles, I'm going to go ahead and just make some pasta to go with it, to go with the meatballs. That'll be fun. I'm not going to toast my hoagies today. I'm just going to warm them up. They're so soft and fresh. So I'm not going to overdo it. Get the whipped ricotta you made earlier and put some on the bottom of the bread. Smear it a bit. Your meatballs are going to sit on here. Melt this cheese. You're going to love it. Thanks for coming to cook with me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, toodles!